What we intend to do now is that we intend to play you back some of the scenes of what happened at the finance ministry where our hardworking pensioners decided to picket at the finance ministry. As I did indicate, we saw the likes of the former Chief Justice, that's Madame Sophia Kufu, join the group. So watch these clips.
Members of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum on Monday, February 6, began picketing the Finance Ministry to demand a total exemption of the investment from the Domestic Debt Exchange Program. Friday 10 February makes it the fifth consecutive time members of the forum have showed up at the ministry. Government has proposed a 15% coupon rate, but the group of about 50 retirees, amid singing patriotic Ghanaian songs, rejected, saying,
"Help us to resist oppressors, and mine forevermore."
According to them, they will not accept any haircuts on their investments as their livelihoods depend on the proceeds from these investments. Here's former Chief Justice Sophia Ekufu, who joined the pensioners to protest against inclusion in domestic debt exchange.
You want me to take a haircut? I don't know. With a little bit of hair left on my head, I want it on my head. I'm not going to take a haircut. And I'm not encouraging any Ghanaian to take a haircut. Patriotism is on various levels. And I think most of us have already chalked 99% of patriotism at this time in our lives. So don't let some young whippersnapper come and tell us to cut our expenditure and things like that. And it's not even as if most pensioners are living in luxury. All they've done is to shore up their monies in such a way that that added to their if they are earning pensions from their former places of employment, how they can have room to maneuver. Who said old age has to end up in poverty? It shouldn't. And it is because of that people invested.
The aggrieved bondholders further bemoan the lack of communication between them and the ministry, adding that it is unfortunate for the various institutions to look on unconcerned while they suffer under the scorching sun. Meanwhile, the Pensioner Bondholders Forum has announced that its members would picket Parliament on Tuesday, February 14, to witness the debate between members of the House and the Finance Minister.
Help us to resist oppressors, and mine forevermore.
Well, you saw them, our frail-looking, weak-looking pensioners, hard-working public servants. They are supposed to be on retirement. They're supposed to be taking care of their grandchildren, but that's not possible because their finances are at risk because of the debt exchange program which government is undertaking. So they've joined us in the studio. We're going to have a quick, we're going to have a conversation with them about this conundrum that the government finds itself, which to all intents and purposes has affected our or these pensioners. So joining me in the studio this morning is a Dr. Nani Entry, who is the former Securities and Exchange Commission Director General and convener of the Pension Bondholders Forum, and also he's here with Mr. Fred Ango. I hope it's Ango, right? So Mr. Fred Ango Bediako is also here. He's also a pensioner, a member of the forum. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
The Inside Page. It's always a pleasure having you.
Good morning.
Sir. Right. So, in order for us to be able to know who we are speaking to so to know you better, let me put it that way. Kindly tell us who exactly you are. I mean, apart from the fact that you're the former Securities and Exchange Commission boss, who is Dr. Anani Entry?
Well, I'm somebody who professionally, I'm a chartered accountant and a lawyer.
Okay.
And
you're a chartered accountant?
yeah,
and you're a lawyer as well? Okay.
I started my working life in 1975. In fact, I was working in the factory
Okay.
before I started learning to become, to move from the factory floor work to where I got to before I retired.
Okay.
And I retired as the Director General of Security Selection Commission 6 years ago. Last December was 6 years. And I've been around, and when these issues came about, I saw that I needed to start to do something about it. So early January, I started this advocacy to, as it were, try and get pensioners out of the exchange.
Right.
Principally because pension funds has been omitted or exempted from the program. I thought I had to do something, and that is what brought me to this level.
Otherwise, you'd have been living your quiet life somewhere.
Yes.
Right, right. How about you, sir, Mr. Fred Angobediakon? Who are you?
Okay, thank you. Fred Angubediakon is a computer scientist.
Okay, you're a computer scientist.
Yeah, I started work at the University of Ghana Data Processing Center. I've also been a teacher and a corporate planner. And finally, I have to work with ECG for the past 23 years.
You work with ECG for the
No, I worked with ECG for 23 years before retirement.
In what capacity?
As a general manager in charge of billing and revenue division, I was in charge of a division in the electricity company.
Right. Which year did you retire from ECG?
Only last year.
Only
Last year, June.
Last year, June.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So obviously you're above 60. Obviously you're above.
Yeah,
60.
I'm above 60.
Right. Probably in your mid 60s.
No, I'm not just above 60. 60 plus.
60,
Yes,
60
60.
plus.
Yes, 60
That's
plus.
fine. That's fine. Right. So you retired just last year.
Last year, June.
Okay. Now let me come back to Doc. So obviously you've got children, grandchildren, etc.
Oh, yes. I have two they are not kids. They are grown-ups. They are grown-ups now. They too have completed university. One is at home without a job.
Okay.
By the grace of God, my mother is still alive. She's about 96. She will be 96 this year. She's alive.
Oh.
And my senior sister is taking care of her. So, and then we have other dependents. And people even we don't know, we do take care of them. That's it.
So you have quite a number of dependents, people who depend on you for survival.
Sure.
I'll come back to you and ask you why you decided to buy government bonds.
Okay.
What was the thought processes at the time? What was your expectations and so on and so forth? And whether you ever saw this ever coming. I'll come back to you on that. But Doc, yesterday my understanding was that you're supposed to have met the finance minister. Remember that the deadline was on the 7th of February. And then we heard that the 7th of February had been extended. You have been given a 3-day moratorium for persons who were trying to sign up to the debt exchange, but there were some technical glitches, etc. So we're giving some 3 days open or window for you to sort all those things out. And then we also heard that the finance minister had called for an emergency meeting with you, the pensioners. Were you in that meeting?
Yes.
Okay. How did the meeting go?
It didn't go the way we wanted. In fact, as we were moving there, I thought we were just going to be giving that statement that you have been exempted.
Okay.
But that didn't happen. The minister still
Insisted.
continued to explain why we should be on board. One of his explanations, which he has always been making, is that if we don't come under the new bonds, the old bonds would have some problems with tradability. Tradability is
He calls it limited tradability.
yes, if we want to sell.
Right.
And we said to him that we have explained that to our members. My background is in security, so I've explained that to members. But members are saying they are not interested in the tradability of the bonds because they didn't buy it for sale later on. They bought it just to ensure that they will get their coupons and use it for their expenses, especially in medication. And you know that at this our age, if you have any property, the only thing you are thinking about is your property should be there so that when you are gone, you would have put it in your will or something for your dependents and beneficiaries. So if somebody has even bought a 15-year bond, he's not interested in waiting for the 15-year and go and collect that amount. He didn't even know whether 15 years he will be alive. But these are things that would flow into people's wealth, that I have a bond of this. So they are interested in just the coupons coming for their daily expenses. So don't worry yourself about the tradability. We know, and we are not interested in going to sell. Then his next point is that this is voluntary. So if you decide not to join, why would you still want to be exempted? You can, as they say, self-exempt yourself. And then I, coming from where I'm coming from, would have just said, Mr. Minister, you are a securities market player. You know, he was at Data Bank when I was the Director General of Securities and Exchange Commission. I say you are an operator in the market. You also used to be a regulator of the securities market. So the two of us, we know. And frankly, honestly, the two of us know that there is a difference between having been exempted and you opting out of the program. So it's not as if when you opt out, it's like you have been exempted. No. And the difference is simply that if the issuer exempts you from the restructuring, the issuer is telling you that as for this, your loans, the loans that I have picked from you, this debt, I can handle it. I have no problems handling it. So I have exempted you. I can deal with it the way I have to deal with it as per conditions and terms attached to the bond. So I don't have problems there. So this one, I will not restructure it. I can handle it as it is. So I have exempted it. These ones, I recognize that I may have some challenges servicing them, the coupon and the principal, when they are due. As a result of this, the possibility of this challenge, materializing, I am restructuring it. I'm going to restructure it so that I give you new ones and you bring the old ones to give me some space, fiscal space in handling that. So if I have done that and you say you would not come under, then you know that you are taking on some risk because I have told you that I may not be able to service it. That is why I'm replacing it. So if you decide not to come under, it is your own decision you have taken. And I call it that you will now be holding a bond that I will call I told you so bond. And I'm calling it I told you so bond because when it comes for coupon to be paid or maturity comes for it to be, your principal to be paid, and you go and the issuer say, oh, I can't pay it, I have some challenges, then definitely the issuer will say, well, I told you that I may not be able to handle this pay. That is why I wanted to exchange it. And you didn't come. So I call it I told you so bonds. We don't want to be holding I told you so bonds. We want to hold bonds that you have exempted. If you exempt me, you have promised that you have absolutely no problem handling me. That is why you have set me aside. So in that case, if the time comes and you are unable to pay, I will rather come and say, but you told me you will be able to pay. And that is why you didn't restructure and allow me to hold on as it is. So why are you now saying you cannot pay? So you see the difference? If you are not a securities market man, and even you are a securities man and you don't understand,
you could easily be dribbled.
You could be dribbled. And so to me, the minister is like, if it's the same, Why is it that I'm here and I say, bring me here, and you are not bringing me? If you know, if I self-exempt myself, it's the same as you, the issuer, exempting me, then if I'm fighting that I don't want to stand here as self-exempt, but I want to stand here, what should have been your problem if they are on the same level?
Right.
Moving me here, from here to here. But the minister also knows. He's a market player, just as I know as a market regulator. I've been in this industry, not now. Right. I worked at the SEC from 1999 to 2004 before I left SEC to go to the law school. And then later on went there as the Director General from 2011 till I retired 2016. So I have a whole lot of understanding of these market and securities. So that is the difference between you exempting yourself as against the issuer exempting you. We want the issuer, which is government. The government is the one that issued the bond. And we want the government to exempt us. If you exempt me, you have given me all the assurance that for these ones, I will continue to do everything as I was doing, in spite of the fact that I have problems. For here, I will deal with it the way I want to deal with it. But if you don't exempt me and I exempt myself, I'll be holding I told you so bond.
And these are
and
bonds.
We don't want to hold I told you so bonds.
Are the I told you so bonds the same as illiquid bonds?
No. I say I told you so because when it comes and it's not able to pay,
Yes.
it will refer you.
Okay.
That yes, that is why years back I told you that I may have challenges.
Yes.
And that is why I wanted to restructure it, change it, exchange it for a new one, and you didn't come. So that is why I call it I told you so bond.
So how then do I reconcile this explanation you've just given with what the finance minister tells us that it's a purely voluntary exercise?
Yes.
Which is that you can opt out of it.
Yes.
And when you do opt out, there won't be any punitive
Yes,
measures taken
but if
against
you opt out, your bonds will be what I have told you.
And
will
I
be
told you so
class-
bond.
And I told you so bond.
So it is not true that there won't be any punitive actions.
No, this punitive action is that I will not come and beat you. I will not. No.
Right.
The issuer will still say, if you don't come, I'll pay you the. He cannot. The issuer. That's why I tell people the issuer cannot come out and say, I won't pay.
Yes.
If you don't
Yes.
bring it, I won't pay. He will say, I will pay.
But when?
But he has already told you that because I am having challenges, I may have difficulties paying you.
Okay.
Even though my intention is to pay, I may have challenges paying you. That is why I wanted to exchange it for a new one. The new one will give me some space. Interest rate has come down, it gives me space. The maturity period, I have extended it or whatever, it gives me space.
Okay.
So if you decide to stay and the time comes for your coupon to be paid and I'm not able to pay and you come, pay me. Even as a human being, what I'll do? Well, that is why I told you that bring it so that I give you a new one, because I knew I was not going to be able to pay you on the old bond, and you decided to stay. So now it's there. Wait, if I get money, I'll pay. You always say I'll pay. If I get money, I'll pay. If I get money, I'll pay. There you are there. And that these ones exempted is saying that for this, I'm assuring you that I can do it the way I have been doing it, so you don't have problems. So if you don't do it, I'd rather blame you that you promised you would do it. That is why you didn't restructure it and allow it to be held the same way and manner I'm holding. So why now today you are coming? But the other side, he will rather say, well, I told you so, that I may not be able to pay. And you decided to hold on.
Right. First of all, before I ask, I interrogate a bit further the interactions that took place between you and the finance ministry officials. How many of you were there?
We were three.
Yourself?
He was there, and
Okay.
Mr. Buabin was there, three of us.
That's three of
In fact, the gathering has dispersed before we went there. We were waiting for him. If he wanted to address all of us, we were waiting. But we realized that he wasn't coming, so I called the chief director that we don't want people to stay here past 11. The reason is that people must get back to their homes and take their afternoon medication. So if you let them stay longer, it will also affect the time that they have to take their afternoon medication. So the entire group would go, but few of the members will stay and meet the minister. So we got 3 to meet him.
So the
So
status,
we just said, for us, exempt us.
right.
We understood everything you are saying. We don't need any more explanation. We know. Exempt us. And again, if we have exempted, the point that people are saying, well, they say the nation is in crisis, so if you don't come on board. The minister has exempted 30 billion of pension funds from the program. And now you cannot exempt about 2.5 billion. Then the question is, didn't you know at the time you were exempting the 30 billion, you didn't see the exemption of the 30 billion would affect the program? And if the exemption of 30 billion would not affect the program, how would exemption of 2.5 or 2.6, whatever, he told us it's between 2.2 up to 3. So assuming I take an average, middle way, 2.6. Why would 2.6, exemption of 2.6 affect you? And meanwhile, we are even not bringing the bonds to you. We are keeping it. So it doesn't add up because your figure, you won't get it. We will still not send in these bonds. So you already don't have it. It's not as if it is with you and you are deciding to keep it. It is with us. And we say we won't bring it. So once we have decided not to bring it, it means you can't have it. So the decision-making should be easier because it's not coming. Whatever you do, it's not coming. So just moving them from self-exemption to issuer exemption should not be a problem.
Right.
And that gives us a bit of comfort that it is the issuer who said, please, don't, as for this, don't bring it.
Right.
I can deal with it. Rather than bring it, I can't deal with it, and so I won't bring it. For you to come and blame me that, well, I told you so.
All right, I get it. So yesterday's meeting
It ended. We just said we should try and
stand
do
by your
what
position.
we want.
Finance Minister standing
Because
by
we
his
know what we are doing, and he also knows the difference between exempting yourself by not coming under the program and the issuer exempting you.
Right. But, you know, Mr. Fred Ango Bediako, the finance minister says, Boame, namen boamo. You know, to wait, help me and let me help you back. Why don't you want to help the finance minister?
Okay, thank you. It's not that we don't want to help the finance minister. We have already helped him.
How so?
At least we have given him money. We have given government money to do projects. That's why we bought the bond. That is the first one. We are retirees. In a society, in every society, the aged is protected. So in the first place, even before exempting anybody, for me, I think the pensioner should be the first person. Who are the people we can protect? And it didn't happen that way. So the Buame Name Mwao is, I have given you the money, you have spent it. Now I'm not more interested in how you spend it. Then you come back to me, say that, please, if the contract was giving you a coupon of maybe 25%, now I'll give you 0 for this year, 5% for next year, maybe 9, and the first offer, the maximum was around 10. But it's not a deal. It's not fair.
Why is it unfair? Help somebody who doesn't understand how this investments, work. You know how it's structured. If you told somebody that it's a bad deal, the person may not understand. Help us understand why you think it's a bad deal.
No, if you say it's a bad,
bring it to reality.
The reality is that maybe I have given you 1,000 cedis.
Okay.
Every year, out of the 1,000 cedis, you give me, is it 250? Yeah, 250
cedis.
250 cedis.
Right. 25% coupon rate?
Yes.
Okay.
250 cedis. It's semi-annual. So the 250, it will be around 12 cedis, 50 pesos for every
Every 6
225.
months.
225 for
125.
every 6 months.
Right.
Okay? And that is what I know. I'm depending on it. I'm using it to supplement other income to make a living out of it. This time, you come to me, say that, oh, I can't pay. So this year, I will give you 0. That means I will not give you your 225 that you are expecting every 6 months again for this year. The following year, I'm going to give you 5%. I don't want to calculate it. It will give me headache. That means you want to kill me like somebody said, you want to kill me softly. So that is the way it works. Fast forward, the second amendment, you are saying that 15%. That means you are giving me about 150
For the whole year.
for the whole year.
And
When
that's
you
divided into 2. That's 75 cities, 75 cities.
Instead of the 125, we will be
It's a
receiving every
125,
quarter.
25.
Every
You see the issue, and that one, we are even told, not that we are even told, when I read, I'm not an expert in this, when I read, I didn't understand some of these things. I refer to friends I know that they are in this thing. And some of them have to come and say that, oh, we also have challenges to interpret some of these things, and then there are 2 schools of thought. So even the contract itself, find out that you find the interpretation difficult. People have all types of these things. So that is why we are saying that, please, for us pensioners, it's anywhere, in every society, even if your car gets stuck in mud anywhere, you will not allow the old man holding a walking stick to push that car. So to us, the best is the exemption, so that he will continue to be. We are aware, we know that Ghana is finding itself in a situation that is very difficult. And the best way, we can look at other things to look at it. But as we speak now, we, the pension bondholders, for more or less are concerned that first exempters, if you can, later you will invite, Dr. Nane is in that business. There are so many people, because the people you see at the ministry, they cut across. We have professors. 3 days ago, we have a medical doctor, a private medical doctor, at the age of 81, a retiree. And he said he retired in 2017. He has kidney problem, stage 4, and I understand it very well. That's why there's water in front of me. It's just by the grace of God that some of us are still alive. So I understand it very well. When I heard it that somebody had stage 4, and he's a medical doctor, and he said that I have prepared myself because I know very soon I will be on machines in order to survive. And I'm expecting my bond to mature in September, so that I will know what to do. Because at stage 4, anything can happen. Because stage 4 to stage 5 is just a thin line. So that is what we are saying. Not that we don't want to help. And I have served at least 33 years. Daughter may go beyond this. And we have contributed. So at this point, and as Doctor said, what is the pensioners, what is their amount that we are talking about? It's less than 3 billion. That amount that we are talking about, it's less than 3 billion. In account, there's a proverb that you will find some gunpowder. You will find some gunpowder. So Ghana cannot cough up, let me use that word, cannot cough up 3 billion to take care of its pensioners, people who have served the nations. And then, yesterday, or everywhere, the whole Chief Justice, he knows the law. He understands it. She said even if he doesn't have bond, she will have come. Today, on the news, Nat is saying that they know that the fight is not for us to fight. Nagat is saying it. Because we came out of them. In the first place, the money, most pensioners, the money that we have used to buy bonds, it was actually from the pension fund, what government is protecting now. After contributing for 10 years, when you contribute for 10 years, government, you have option to take some out, 50%. I did mine 2 years ago, and I said, this is pension money. I can't spend it. Let me use it to buy bond, so that when I retire, I cannot take a decision and plan very well. That one is in. The recent one, ongoing on retirement, part is also in. And as you earlier there, I went into this bond business because of experience. When I started work as a programmer, a lady, she's now a professor, she came and she was doing her research. That was on PhD research. It was on the aging in Ghana. And the questionnaire, I was supposed to code it, analyze it, and then give it so that she would write her report. And you could see the tears of pensioners, their frustrations. At that time, that was about 1989. It's still imprint in my brain. You could see their tears. They were asking themselves, what crime have they committed? So from that very day, I said, as a young man, I must plan my life. And we sacrifice a lot. I told a cousin that sometimes you have to forgo your lunch in order to put something aside. Not that you have enough. You have to go, you forgo your lunch and go. We tried a stock exchange. It was this like this. And at a certain age, at 60 or even at 50 or at 55, nobody will tell you that go and invest in the stock exchange. It's not good for an old person. You go for where you have security. And the surest one over the years is the government security, government bonds. So, my brother, that is where we are. I never thought that one day you will wake up and you will have this problem that government, and if you are aware, in the initial program, when the finance minister announced it, pensioners were exempted, or individual bondholders were not part of it.
True, absolutely.
Thank you.
Doctor, I don't know, but just in case you just joined us, I'm having a very touching conversation with pensioners who have been picketing the finance ministry all week, asking or demanding that the finance minister, the government, exempt them from the debt exchange operations or the debt exchange program. They joined us this morning on Insight Pages to walk us through the challenges they have with the offerings by the government and why it's such a bad deal for them. I do have Dr. Edu Ananientri, who's the former boss at the Securities and Exchange Commission. He's been there for many years. And then also Mr. Fred Ango Bediakun, he's a programmer. He's basically an IT specialist. He's also been talking to me. He served with the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, for many years as well, 6 years, right?
23 years.
23 years. And he only retired last year. He says he never foresaw this coming. And he's been telling us what even made him go into the bond business, because he read some literature on what pensioners go through when they are out of public service or when they're out of whatever business they're doing, and the kinds of problems and the challenges they go through. So he decided to invest his money into the bond business, and oh la la, here we go. He's struggling to get his money back, and it's a very sad situation. Indeed, whilst I was here, somebody actually whispered in my ears that, this situation has also brought about a situation where these bondholders have been forced to tell us something which ordinarily should be very confidential. Some are saying they have renal problems, some talk kidney problems, some say they have this, they have that. It's not something that ordinarily they should be going public with, but they've been forced to let us know what their conditions or their conditional conditions are. And that's just to tell you how bad the situation is. So 0249, sorry, I should have done this much earlier. 0249 155 646. 0249 155 646. Yes, you can see that boldly and clearly displayed on the screens for those of you who want to contribute to this conversation with your thoughts and your opinions of views or standpoints. We'll be more than happy to hear from. Let me come back to you, Dr. Ananientri. He was telling me why he decided, for instance, to go into the bond business. Maybe I should have asked him what he's been using his money for, whether he takes care of a family or his medications, or that's personal. He can decide to tell us, not to tell us. But in your case, for instance, why did you decide to go into the bond business? Was this just by the mere fact that you were in that space? by virtue of your position as a SEC boss?
Well, I have been an investment guy since
Since your days at the factory?
yes.
Okay.
79 or so, 78, 77, 77, around that latter part of 70s. When I started working in 75, before the end of the 70s, I've started putting money down.
But it was a different kind of investment?
Yes, and at that time I was doing treasury bills.
Okay.
You know, you go to Bank of Ghana at that time, and I don't know, I was going to ask people how we were even getting our interest. I think later on I came to Barclays, the Makola Barclays, I did something, you go, and you don't have an account, but I think you pay the money into the accounts, and when the interest comes, they give you some a counter check or so for you to take your money, because we didn't have account, but we did all that. I've gone into other areas of investment, especially when the investment area expanded, bringing in these financial services firms like the finance houses. When
Like
they
the data banks
the
of today.
data bank, even before data bank, the financial services firm that
Right.
came, they opened up for the fixed deposits to be handled. I went through that at some point in time. We were getting some big interest rate. I remember I've gotten 60% per annum before on my investment.
I see. Those were the good times.
At that time, inflation was around, T-bills was 45.
Okay.
And we were doing 60. And it was also at that time that people even started doing the Piram at 35, that big amount, which was quite risky.
Right.
And I've been teaching on the stock exchange since early 90s, teaching people all this, even before I went to the SEC. Okay. So investment has been, that is what I have been a person who likes investment. I can even go for a consumer credit facility, sell and use the money to go and do investment. Then it will be taken from my... So I am an investment person since I started working, and I've done so throughout my life.
Right.
I went through some of these financial crises when some companies were, licenses were withdrawn. My small investment that was there, I had challenges there. But as you are growing, and we teach that always, as you are growing, you shift from the high interest investment that you ordinarily would have to do when you are young. And the point is that if you are young, you can do that. If there's any problem, you can recover because you still have some time to go. But when you are 50, 55, getting to 60, you want to play safe.
Right.
Because if you fall, there's no way for you to recover. It's like if you are a young man, they push you, you fall down. You can come up, wake up, and just wipe the dust, and then you are going. But if you are an elderly person and you are pushed down, that's the end of your you will stay there. They will have to bring your coffin there to bury you. So you don't have to go through it's good. You will get some high rate, but that was past. When I was young, I was dealing that because I had the opportunity to recover if anything happens. But now I don't have that opportunity. So save. So getting to your old age, you stop placing your funds with these or other financial institutions and concentrate on government securities because that has the lowest risk amongst all the securities. So we went there. And so thinking that as for this one, you can just put your money there and go and sleep. There's no need for you to think, where is government? Where is government? I can't find him. I went there and government door is locked. They say the manager is not there. As can happen to you when you go to the private sector to invest. So we all have to go there, and that is what I have preached over the years as a securities market operator and also as a lecturer in finance and investment. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's part of me, and at this point in time, I am only doing I have to do only the government bonds, which is very, very safe and safer than all sorts of instruments. So if you have done this, and all of a sudden we are going through these. That's a problem. Nobody expected that to happen, but now we are here.
You didn't foresee this coming, clearly.
No.
You didn't.
No.
As somebody who also has, I want to believe you have some background in economics and finance, definitely. At the time where this whole conversation about government borrowings or appetite for borrowing and how, if it's not checked, may land all of us into trouble, did you follow the discussion at the time? And were you at the time scratching your head saying, hey, Charlie, it's my investment safe? Because government was borrowing from you too,
Yes.
domestically.
Well, you see, when the indication, you realize that government debt was rising. That one, everybody said, "Oh, it's too much. We are getting to..." The same time, the problem, the challenge some of us have, and we are in the market, we understand the market. When I bought my bill at, let's say, 20%, then as the debts went on increasing, government was selling bills or bonds at, let's say, 35, 34. As soon as that happens, your bond that was issued at 20, if you attempt to sell, you won't get even about half of your investment. So your value completely gets disappeared.
Whittled away.
Yes. So it became a problem selling your bonds, and we all want to save value.
So you were contemplating at the
Yes,
time?
yes, but we all save value because if, for example, I want to support one of my children to take a visa to go and study, and I have 200,000 in bonds, and I'm using it to support, it's better than when I sold this for 90 cedis or for 90,000 or for 100,000, and now I have a value of, I have invested the new 100,000 in the current bonds. But what is my value? My value is 100. Unlike the previous one, which is still going at 20 that I haven't sold, it's 200. So if I have to prove that I can support a child between 200,000 bond paper and 100,000 bond paper, what do you think would help me get the required assistance for my child to go? Is it 200? The person reviewing your document doesn't care whether your 100 is giving you 50% or 20%. So that value, you wanted to maintain that value. As soon as you sell, your whole value, if that's your only asset, it means your value has just dropped, your asset value has dropped about 50%. So it was difficult selling. So you just have to say, well, let me hold on till maturity, suffer the interest that I'm getting, old interest at 20, whereas people are getting 35. Let me leave it. At least at the end of the maturity period, I will get my full value. The market wouldn't have forced me to, I wouldn't have gone to drop my value and take maybe 100,000. But if I wait, I can take all my 200,000. So that is how these things work. Of course, even with that, you are still losing. But we decided, well, let me wait, because inflation has gone to 54 point something. Even people who are taking the current rate of 34, they are still losing value because inflation is at 54. And Treasury bill rates ordinarily should give you something in excess of inflation. But now it is the other way around. So everybody is losing. So if you are also losing here, and waiting for your investment to mature and get the principal you put in instead of going to realize half principal. It's like people who are now going to take their money from other financial institutions and they say, you can't get all. When they call me, I say, well, then wait until they get the maturity so that you also get your full maturity value.
We have just 4 minutes to wrap up this conversation, but in 2 minutes, if you can, tell me what implications this will have on you personally if the government does not exempt you.
Okay. It is simple
on your lifestyle
on my lifestyle.
in just 2 minutes.
Psychologically, when every bond or every coupon is due, I will only be okay when it is paid. I will start thinking about whether the next one will be paid or not. On maturity, that psychological warfare will be on me, personally. The next one, like my daughter is at home. Now, will she be at home forever? So I said she should go and do the masters. It's the same bond money. It's the same bond money that I know every 6 months I will get something to support her, at least to complete the masters. So that one also, we have to look at it and see whether it's feasible. That is all. I've already told you that I have my mother, but I thank God for that. She's 96. I have to take good care of her. Whether there's coupon or not, I have to take good care of her. Right now, I'm taking care of a boy. He's in 2nd year in the university. I don't know the mother. I don't even know the father. So I can tell you that the issues, when it's not paid, it will affect me. Now, just 6 months after retirement, when I was coming on retirement, when I look at the social security, I thought, oh, it will be okay. Now I've realized, just after 6 months, I've realized I cannot survive alone on my pension, the social security, just after 6 months.
I see. So,
just after 6 months.
So non-payment will mean that you can't take care of your mother, you can't take care of your daughter,
And
you can't take care of your
son,
and yourself. In just a minute, the finance minister is watching us. Can you address him directly in just a minute? Tell him he's watching us.
No, it's just we keep on
If you just
appealing.
look into the what you call it. Yeah. So
Yeah, Mr. Minister, or let me appeal to the minister and the government, the government and Mr. Minister, please exempt pensioners. Total exemption that we need. You need to protect us. And the best way now to protect us is to give us total exemption. Even we know that the date is close, the offer date is close, the settlement is on 14th Tuesday. That will be on that day, or even Monday or today, we can announce that pensioners at long last have been totally be exempted from the DDEP. Thank you.
Doc, please address the finance minister. He's watching us.
Well, I believe, I have always have the belief that the minister would understand that you don't have to treat your pensioners like that. And let me say that this is to minister and government. The last 1 or 2 days ago, when the President Biden gave his State of the Union address, it's reported that he mentioned the word senior citizens 9 times in the address. And they have said that never in the history of America has that word been used 9 times in a State of the Union address. Therefore, they are congratulating the president for doing that. And he mentioned that 9 times because of the series of programs he has outlined in his speech. And he said that when they have realized that they must provide benefit, the most benefit to the oldest Americans. And he has realized that when Americans are old, as they get old, they become very vulnerable in depleting their savings. And they live a life of hardship and abject poverty. They go into abject poverty. America, in spite of all that they are doing for them, they still feel that they must do more for them, for the aged. We are not doing anything. We must start doing something. I have said that maybe what I want to do, I want government to see government doing is just give retirees a bus pass so that when they see this Ayalolo, they can board for free. There's only one train, I suppose, running from Nsawam to Accra. Let them board it. This is one of the things they enjoy in the UK. They have many of these buses, but that will be a start that I see that government has started doing something. I am going to ensure, and this one will not end, to advocate for programs that would endure to the benefit
for the aged.
of the aged.
Okay.
Everybody will come there.
Right.
Everybody, unless you are not praying that God should give you long life. Otherwise, everybody wants to live long.
All right.
So we must take care of the aged.
It's extremely important. And I want to use this opportunity to say a very big thanks to you for making time to join us on Inside Pages. It has been wonderful talking to you. We've gotten to know you up close and personal, and we've heard your concerns, and I know that the government is watching. Thank you so very much. Government officials are watching. Thank you very much for joining us here. So Dr. Edu Anani Entry is a former Securities and Exchange Commission boss. Has joined us here on Inside Pages. I want to thank you very much. And also Mr. Fred Ango Bediako has also been with us. And so this is where we end the first part of today's edition of Inside Pages.